Welcome back, everybody. We are going to go over the conference championships from this last weekend and kind of go in depth of the results of said championships.
Pain!
I want to die. Anyways, which should we talk about first? Because both are equally as painful.
The question is, do you want to talk first or do you want me to talk first?
I feel like if I don't let you talk first, I'm going to go on a rant for like 30 minutes and I won't let you be able to speak. So I'm going to let you go first.
We're going to address the trauma of the AFC Championship game. I've been keeping it in since the game. I've been talking about it as little as I can because I knew that I was just going
Gonna branch out.
I was saving it for this. Yeah.
Let the hate fuel you.
The game it was not. Ravens lost 17-10. I want to start with Lamar Jackson is already getting more hate than he deserves. Because yes, he did. Yes, he did. He did fucking throw an interception. It was a really bad interception.
Coverage.
It was a bad interception, but that offense is not designed for 40 to 50 pass plays in a game. They had 5 designed runs to running backs. They had 3 on early downs. They game planned throw the ball. No, that was it. They did not run the ball at all. It was the most infuriating offense I had to watch. And yes, a lot of people were saying choke game by Lamar, but it's like their offense wasn't doing anything because they did what they do every year in the playoffs when they actually look like a decent team, which is, do great in the regular season, come in here, look like a formidable foe. And what offense do you run? Hey, one of the best rushing offenses against a below average rushing defense, and we're going to throw the ball against a team that hasn't allowed much of anything in the pass game. Make it make sense. Make that game plan make sense because you don't have the receivers for that. You have, in my opinion, an elite quarterback, but not an elite passer.
No.
And you decide to go out there and game plan against a top 3 pass defense by throwing the ball. And it doesn't make sense. Now, even with that game plan, we still could have won that game. There were so many reasons we should have won that game. And this is what infuriates me about the Chiefs' path to the Super Bowl is this is 2 straight games that they should have lost, but the team they played against just I can't even say fell apart because the game plan was bad. The performances were bad. Zay Flowers, great day, over 100 yards receiving, but he had on, I believe, back-to-back plays, a taunting call after an amazing play.
Yeah.
Taunting call. I sat there. I watched this with my brother. I watched the game with my brother. I sat there and went, he's a rookie receiver. He's going to make mistakes in the playoffs, but at least he made a big play. Like, it still benefited us because it was 15 yards off of like a 40, 50-yard play.
Something like that.
And I'm like, all right, we're like in the red zone. And then it was like next play after, throw a pass, medium pass, and he takes it, makes a great run, but he dives for the end zone from like the 3 or the 5 yard line.
Something like that, yeah.
It was not a smart dive. It was a 2 hands, reach the ball. And I'm like, the moment I saw him do that, I was like, you cannot do that. And I just sat there and prayed that he crossed the fucking. I hope he broke the plane.
No.
Broke the plane. Because I was just like, once he started doing that, I was like, that's the only way. Because that does not work. Coach, and it's a rookie mistake. He made 2 of them in a row. And the rest of the game, he was fine. He played well.
No.
But he made rookie mistakes. And again, he's a rookie, and people are going to hash on him, but he's going to be our best receiver going forward.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
who else?
I'm not mad at him. They were dumb mistakes. We made other dumb mistakes. There was some, and I'm not going to stoop to the Steelers and say we lost because of the refs and we should have won because if the refs were better. There were some calls that were questionable. Specifically, it was the one before the illegal hands to the face, roughing the passer call. That one I just don't. It's weird. It's not a roughing the passer call I like, but it is, with how the rules are, a correct call. What was the... Oh, I know what it was. It was a scuffle broke out,
Yeah.
and they break it up. Travis Kelce comes over to... was it David Clowney or something? Some D lineman gets in his face. Kyle Van Noy comes over and kind of just... It does, like... It's a very football thing when people are arguing. Is he comes up... He does it... They said headbutt. He didn't headbutt him. No. He was stiff and he just walked into him. And they called an unnecessary roughness. And I wouldn't have had much of a problem with it if Travis Kelce hadn't been doing that all game.
Yeah.
He had been instigating. He didn't get a single flag, but one of our guys freaking walks into him, and he doesn't push him. He doesn't lower his head. He just walks into him, and it's an unnecessary roughness. And I'm like, that's kind of dumb. I'm not gonna say refs were favoring them. There was the talk that I think it was one of the refs, but it might have been the entire ref and crew. It had tended to favor the away team.
Yep. I was going to bring that up if you didn't.
I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm not saying that's... Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just... I won't say bad calls, but consecutive just calls in a certain direction. And I'm not saying it was favoritism or anything. Could it have been? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not even blaming the refs, but that was a factor. There was the interception was bad. The fumble by Lamar Jackson, which wasn't his fault, really.
No.
That was our O-line struggled. We struggled on offense so much, and yet still came that close. Our defense did fantastic in the second half.
Oh yeah.
They were concerning a little bit in the first half because they were not getting pressure, allowing them to run all over. But it wasn't like falling apart like most defenses do. Like even their playing poorly was still able to match the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So it's like if our offense can just do something, we'll be fine. Or if the defense really steps up, our offense has to do even less. Our offense did a lot less. It took them until the fourth quarter, kind of the end of the third quarter, to run a decent offense, which the Ravens' offense tends to make mistakes, which results in turnovers. You ran it too late. If you had run that offense since the first quarter, at least 24 points.
Yeah.
Because if you don't run the ball, if they ran the ball earlier in the game, it would have set up for better passing later. Mm-hmm. You could have used play action plays. You could have actually used screen plays. But instead it was, let's drop back and pass. The drive that they got the field goal on, they started from their own 1. And the first 2 plays on that drive were play action fade go routes. Both were overthrown, and then a later one also overthrown was a go route in I believe in Chiefs territory. But it was, as much as people complain about Lamar, I don't have a problem with Lamar because yes, he made mistakes, but the entire offense made mistakes. The person with the most yards on the offense was also the person who fumbled into the end zone and had a taunting call. It was mistakes, but even with those mistakes and those penalties, we should have won those game. We should have won that game simply by just having a better offensive game plan than let's have 60 plus designed passes and we'll just let Lamar do whatever. We had a designed QB draw on fourth down that worked pretty well in the first quarter. You could tell, watching that one of the comments my brother made was you could tell that he was playing like he was really in his head because he broke through the D-line, got where he was supposed to go, about 5-10 yards downfield, and he looked around and just waited to get tackled, even though he could have gone so many more
I saw
yards.
that. I was like,
He just wasn't. He started the game in the wrong headspace. You could tell when he was getting pressured. I think it was literally like a play or two before his QB run on fourth down. He ran backwards 20 yards and then just threw it away. And it was like, what does he do? He had guys open too. He was not in the right headspace. It makes me wonder how much was pre-game planned, and how much of it was the pre-game plan and how much of it was just poor play calling.
yeah.
Because those two were a major factor. Because there's no reason why that team should have only put up 10 points and lost in a game where you let up 0 second half points.
The Chiefs literally got to the Super Bowl in like the easiest fashion this year. They went up against two teams that literally collapsed on themselves. And several games in the regular season, they got benefited. And then also screwed up a couple. But I don't know. It's just, in this game particularly, I did watch most of it, if not all of it. I didn't see a whole lot of calls that were favored, or that were favoring a certain team, like exponentially, like you said. I think generally the reffing in these games, particular, actually, were a lot better in recent memory. So it's not even the refs you can blame, to some people. Like, people can't just blame the refs 24/7. Like, there are literal reasons why these teams just did not win, and it's frustrating because it's like, I know these teams are better. The Bills are better than what they were in that game. The Ravens are definitely better than what they performed, and I just don't know what was going on. Miami was just kind of...
Miami was riddled with injuries.
Yeah. But the Bills and the Ravens should have easily beaten the Chiefs on any other day, but for some reason on those days they were not good.
Well, the other thing with the Ravens is, like, even with passing it that much, their receivers didn't do much either. I mean, O-line struggled, but Beckham did very little. Rashad Bateman had a screen catch.
Yeah. Well, Beckham didn't get put into the game until, like, second half, though, if you'd watched.
I didn't notice that. I missed, like, half of the first half, or first quarter.
That would be why, because he wasn't put in until, like, or at least he wasn't put into a lot of action until, like, really late into the game. But, yeah, there were a couple non-calls on the Chiefs that should have been called, but it wasn't enough to, like, truly affect the game, especially with how poor the Ravens offense was playing that day. But yeah, I mean, it was really frustrating, mostly because I don't hate the Chiefs. I hate the narratives that are getting pushed upon the rest of the NFL, where it's hard to cheer for specifically Kansas City right now, or at least from my perspective, because the media blows a lot of things out of proportion. Specifically, the amount of attention that Taylor Swift and Kelsey are getting is a little excessive. I actually did a counter. They only showed Taylor Swift like 4 times during the game.
Yeah, people draw it out because they're just like Taylor Swift, but also at the same time, anyone who my brother made this comment, and I think it's a great comment, is that any guy that wants his significant other, his girlfriend, whatever, to get into football there's your key. It's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's
If you
Taylor
want a
Swift.
girl interested in football, hey, you want to go watch the Chiefs? Taylor Swift's usually at the games.
Yeah.
Boom. And it was funny. And again, it's good for coverage, which is why the NFL does it.
Oh.
Now, I don't have an issue with Taylor Swift because especially like specifically Taylor Swift because she's dating one of the players.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people are dating NFL players? A
A
lot.
lot of people, yes.
The thing is, the NFL just went, oh, look, Taylor Swift's at these games. We're going to start covering it. She just happens to sit in an easy spot to see because she's in a suite because she's famous and dating an NFL player.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're going to put her in a suite. And the NFL is doing, like, any hate Taylor Swift is getting is coming because of the NFL.
Yeah.
She's done nothing wrong.
No, Taylor Swift has actually been, honestly, if there wasn't as much coverage on Taylor Swift as there was now, I actually think I would not only be neutral, but I would think it'd be a hugely positive thing. Because it's like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift is at the game. That's pretty cool. Like, who doesn't want people to like go to these games and be like, oh look, that guy's there or that girl's there. Like, it doesn't matter.
Eminem's here, guys.
Yeah, they only showed Eminem I think once or twice.
They definitely showed one thing, and I don't know
Oh
if
yeah.
you.
Oh, I saw that picture. That summarized my mood.
It was so. It was the first. That was in the first half when
First half when they were up.
But
Anyways, kind of going over a couple things before specifically and during the game. There was positive note. The Maryland governor was actually seen taking shotguns of beer with Ravens fans before the game or during the game, which I think that was pretty cool. Is that really the only positive thing I have noted here? Everything else is really negative.
Lamar Jackson was at one point our second leading receiver.
Yes, I thought that was hilarious. With what was it, a 24?
It was. I thought it was only in the teens, but it might have been in the 20s. It was
kinda funny.
Lamar Jackson threw a pass that got batted up.
Yeah.
Scared the crap out of me.
I
when
was
it
like,
did.
that shit's gonna get picked off.
It was in the air for so long, and I think it was Justice Hill
barely.
could not turn around for the life of him. But I watched that, and I'm like, God, the closest person is gonna be a Chiefs guy. And then I saw a Ravens guy run and grab it, and I'm like, holy shit, who was that? Was that a lineman? And
No, it's
Lamar just
Lamar.
starts running. I'm like, where did he come from?
He saw the ball and he tracked it.
And the thing is, he was that close to taking it so much further.
Yeah.
He got tripped. And if it wasn't for that, he could have scored. And I would have been like,
hilarious.
that would have been massive.
That would have been a game changer right there.
That would have been a game. Lamar literally doing it all himself.
No.
But
Running back, receiver, and quarterback.
it was tough to watch that game because it was the entire time. It was just, why are we not running the ball? What? Justice Hill just had a huge game. He's had several big games. Why is he not running the ball? Gus Edwards, he's pretty good. He had a decent run in the first quarter. Why is he not running the ball? Why is Lamar Jackson not running the ball? Why is he throwing it 30, 40 times?
I don't know what the Ravens are thinking.
It was a horrible game plan. And I don't know. We've changed offensive coordinators since the last time we did it, which was, 2019,
Yes.
whatever. We've changed coordinators. Obviously, that one had an issue. And that offense have flopped throughout the years.
Oh.
This is an offense that actually was functional. But for some reason, the game plan we had an equally non-functional game plan.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
So I don't know if that comes down to Harbaugh maybe making some decisions or if we just got another offensive coordinator who can't game plan in the playoffs. God, if I have to do that again, please, no. I needed my time because I was feeling it for definitely the rest of that day, even a little bit into yesterday. But the thing that I get to tell myself is I wasn't even looking for a Super Bowl this year coming into it. wasn't expecting it. I was just like, hey, hopefully our offensive coordinator is pretty good and our defense gets better. Top 5 defense, pretty dominant offense when we wanted to be, could beat really good teams.
Yep, could be really good teams. And then they don't show up. This one stings.
And what pisses me off is I would be more okay with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if they played like a Super Bowl team, but they don't. They aren't playing up to their competition. They're playing these games, and their competition is just, we're gonna make dumb mistakes. Drop touchdown, missed field goal, fumble at the goal line, triple coverage pick. These are mistakes that these teams, and that neither the Ravens or the Bills had been making.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why the teams just decided, oh, we're just not going to play. And that's what so much of my concern going into the Super Bowl is like, oh, you look at both of these NFC teams that played in the championship, and it's like, I don't think it really matters who wins. Both teams have shown struggle, but can also be really good, like the Ravens and the Bills. So can someone come out and not suck? Is all you have to do to beat the Chiefs. They have a good pass defense. Defense in general is pretty good. They lost Charles Omenihu for the season to a torn ACL. You just have to put up points and not make dumb mistakes. And, I mean, again, you look at Travis Kelce, 11 yards over 100, or 11 receptions for over 100 yards, and they still only had 17 points. The offense is not really the concern. No. If you have a solid defense and you go in with an offense that doesn't make mistakes like that, it's easy. And I'm not saying it's easy as in like anybody could beat the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are still a good team, especially in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But this is not a Super Bowl caliber Chiefs team. Like, this is the worst Chiefs team we've seen in a while.
And to add more fuel to that fire, there were some things about this game where I just was like, I really want to turn this off, because before the game, there was a physical confrontation. I think it was it Roquan Smith that got into something, or was it someone? There was like a little skirmish. Like, one of the defensive players went to go push another defense on Kansas City. Something like that. It was before the game. But that happened. And then Mahomes and Kelce basically bullying Tucker by throwing his stuff onto the side. And people were commenting, well, Tucker's on their side of the field. You realize kickers have to warm up on both sides of the field? It's not something that they can control. Sure, they can be like, hey, could you move your stuff and stuff like that. And if Tucker's saying, no, I'm practicing right here, then just move over. Like, there's plenty of field to your right. It's not hard.
I mean, so Justin Tucker came out and said that they were just messing around. So it wasn't actually anything serious.
Oh, wasn't it?
No, it was just playful.
Okay. Well, then now
it wasn't a big deal. It was just, it's funny.
Now I'm going to point the finger at the NFL by blowing that stuff up.
Well, the NFL doesn't, like, again, you have to, I mean, the first person you're going to hear it from is Justin Tucker, because the Chiefs aren't going to go and make a big deal out of it. They're like, we just won the AFC Championship. There's so much other stuff going on. Tucker's sitting there and he's like, yeah, they were just picking on me. It was all playful. But it's like, they don't know that. I don't remember when that came out. It was either earlier today or later last night. So during the game and even into yesterday, they probably just didn't know. But it is like kind of blown out, because it's like, there's not that much bad blood between these teams, and it's pregame. They're professionals. Kelce, well, no, Kelce's, especially not even while they're playing. He's an instigator and stuff, and he's aggressive, but he's not. He's also playful. He's not like
not recently.
No, I would say he's still playful. Like, he'll get frustrated and stuff, but a lot of the stuff he does is a form of comedy to him. Like, he does it because it's funny. So, yeah, Mahomes is not the kind of person to just bully someone. But
Okay, well, that's fair. I'm going to go and say that Kelsey, in recent memory, has been more of a jerk to just anybody lately. And I don't, like you said, it could be playful banter and everything like that. But during that game, I was really furious because it's like, why is Travis Kelsey getting away with basically instigating a bunch of stuff that leads to not only penalties on the Ravens, but makes people wonder, why is Travis Kelsey not being penalized for quote unquote instigating things and basically making himself look like he's, kind of an ass to people. I just watched that game. I watched all the plays that Travis Kelsey was picking on other players, and then when the Ravens players were trying to stand up for one of their fellow teammates, and then he gets flagged for something. Unnecessary roughness, my ass. No.
I mean, obviously, again, the thing, I'm not saying he should have been flagged. I absolutely can see, trust me, I can see why people think he should have been flagged, because all of the things were very little things. It was a little bit extra at the end of a scuffle every single time. That's what it was. And nothing that you can point to, like if you point to one, it's like, that should be a flag. But it's like, it's enough to be like, whoa, but not enough to be like, flag him. Like, you could see them doing it, but it's not really something that really warrants it. But he did it several times. But the thing is, you can't really flag someone for doing two minor things.
They both did the same amount of quote unquote, I don't know, pushing around. Like, my issue is that punishment is not justly being served. It's very biased, is what I'm getting. No. Listen to me. Why is Travis Kelsey not... I know I'm saying that Travis Kelsey should be flagged, but I'm also saying that Travis Kelsey should at least be held to the same level as other players being flagged for stupid stuff. Because it's like, you can't have a bias toward the team. I don't care if he's dating one of the top artists in the country. No one is above being called for anything in the NFL. And if something light like that's going to be called, then call other stuff that's light like that during the game. Because Travis Kelsey's been doing it all game. And there are other calls where I'm going to point at and say, why was this not called? Or why was this called? Because clearly it was a decision by the refs to wait that long.
Was it the roughing the passer one?
I don't think so. If it was, then that's
the one
fair.
Who got slapped in the face.
By today's standards, yes, that's roughing the passer, which is fucking bullshit. That's fucking light as hell. Okay, yeah. He was also just going up to bat the ball out of the air. That's just a normal defensive play.
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate that
no one
was face was.
I don't think they were saying it was intentional. I think it was he hit him in the face, and that's just kind of a no with how the rules are. Again, I
hate how light this NFL has gotten.
I'm in the same boat. Back to the unnecessary roughness. I agree. Like, if it should not have been called based on what has passed previous to the unnecessary roughness, and that's why I said it earlier. That's what pissed me off, is there have been scuffles. And what makes it worse, and again, I'm not saying they're favoring the Chiefs. You don't know what goes through the minds of the refs, and I'm not going to say that it's biased. It could have been that they missed what instigated it. They just saw him going like head to head, and they saw him come out of nowhere and hit him. If that's all you saw, cool. I'm not we've expressed that being a ref is hard. I'm not saying it's biased. But what I'm saying is it wasn't consistent.
Yeah, there's no consistency in calling any penalties anymore. Sure, it's been better in these playoff games, but my God, they're still terrible. Because it's just, I don't care if they're the Chiefs. Call the flags. If you're gonna call similar calls to certain degrees on certain plays, it should be the standard set for that game for both sides of the team or both sides of the game. And it's just people can't enjoy games, or at least there are some people who can't enjoy games anymore because of the inconsistency of not just the refs, but just coverage on certain things and the media blowing things out of proportion. It's, I don't know. It really ticks me off.
I think there were some missed calls. I think there were some that paint more of a narrative than intended because, again, they're just trying to call an even game. Probably.
The NFL this entire season has basically pushed this the narrative that Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce, and we need to cover that as much as possible. And how are you going to get the most clicks and cover it as much as possible? You get them all the way to the fucking Super Bowl. I'm not saying that the refs got them to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that there is a lot going for them. So obviously there has to be some influence that gets them to that position. I'm not saying that they're a bad team and they don't deserve to be there. I'm just saying that there's definitely some influence, whether intended or not, being pushed onto other things. I don't know. I'm frustrated on a lot of things about this game, mostly because I'm not mad at Taylor Swift or Kelce. I just hate the stupid coverage of them. I don't mind a couple celebrating after a game. That's fine. I think it's fine. It's just, how many times am I going to listen to Romo or Collingsworth in the press box constantly talk about Mahomes, but not share the same amount of coverage for every other player on that damn field? That's not fair. Cover Lamar Jackson. Cover Zay Flowers. Beckham Jr. I don't care. Cover someone else besides Mahomes. I don't care if he's going to be the new GOAT of this stinking era. I'm fine with him being the generational talent of this era. I don't mind that. But you got to cover something else. It's not just him. That's the issue I have with media these days, is that we're covering one thing and not covering it all.
And there's his heated rant of the podcast. So, cool. Now we can start to wrap up the Ravens game. I mean, this is one of my thoughts, and this was when I was very frustrated and was just like letting it all sink in. Was I sat there and I went, like, while the NFL is probably like, yes, this is what we wanted because Swift to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But
narrative.
I'm sitting there thinking, this honestly might be the worst thing for the Chiefs. Or not for the Chiefs, for the NFL.
Yes.
Because it looks really bad conspiracy-wise.
Yes.
No, obviously, I'm sitting there and I'm not saying that. I will say that there is no conspiracy there. Because the only way the NFL can influence these games, because there's no way I'm going to take any belief that they're paying the players to have these outcomes. That is ridiculous, and I will not support any of that. The only way they could is through the refs, and I genuinely believe that the refs don't do enough in these games. Like, again, this is a game. The Ravens lost this game.
Yes,
the
Ravens
refs
did lose this
game. The refs did not lose the Ravens the game. The Ravens lost this game. So, conspiracy, I'm out on it. I'm so glad that the Super Bowl logo one is done.
Yes, I'm so glad about that. That
if it would have happened, I would have sat there and laughed, but
it was like,
it's dumb. And the other conspiracies are also dumb, but it looks horrible for the NFL. You know, also looks horrible for the NFL is that nobody wants to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl except for Chiefs fans and maybe some 49ers fans, because
bandwagons.
49ers made it and they want their revenge, whatever. But once the 49ers won, both of my siblings sat there and went, I'm not watching the Super Bowl. I'm not going to watch it. And you know how many fans there are going to do that? Because so many people are sick of it.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who are going to cover it because it's their job. But the NFL's sitting there and it's like, perfect. And in the meantime, it's like, nobody wants this.
Nobody really wants to watch it.
Except for the Chiefs and the 49ers and Swifties. But, I mean, good for you for bringing in new audience and stuff, but like you didn't. I don't believe that the NFL made this happen. I believe this is just how it happened. But the NFL was definitely rooting for it a little bit.
Oh,
For
they
the
definitely
Chiefs
were.
because it's money. They're like, oh,
They
it'd be so
definitely
great if
were.
the Chiefs made it, and they did. It's just the NFL thinking that this is good. You're gonna have so many more conspiracies now because it looks like you're painting this narrative that has started from the beginning of the season and has progressed gone through the entire season. People are gonna sit there and go, "This was destined from the start," and it's like, well, no, don't be dumb. This is how it pans out. Teams lose, whatever. Like, if the only conspiracy that that you could maybe argue is that someone is paying someone else, but not the NFL paying anyone, like another team paying someone from another team, or a fan paying someone from a team,
Okay. Yes.
because that the NFL is not that stupid. It is worth too much money to just throw that away for fixing games. That would be stupid.
Okay,
And they're
yes.
not that dumb.
I do want to clarify it. It's not that I choose to believe that the NFL is fixing games or influencing at the very lowest, but it's such a dumb thing to believe in, conspiracy, because especially in the NFL.
I wouldn't even say there's evidence. Like, it's
There's
there-
definitely, I wouldn't say, okay, tampering in the extent that there's definitely some things that are benefiting one party than another.
the only thing I can think of, and I can come up with an explanation for this, is again favoring the Chiefs and the good teams in general. But they've been doing that. That's been happening, and I have a much more realistic reason why a ref might do that than the NFL is telling them to do that for money, which is those referees are actual people. And do you know what happens to actual people who make a mistake on a grand stage? Or not even say a mistake, but make an unpopular decision? Is they get hashed on the internet. So how many of those refs are sitting there and trying to, even if they are making slight biased calls in favor of, say, the Chiefs, but how many of them are doing it because they don't want to get put on blast on the internet? They have the pressure of the biggest fan base because it's the best team. You got all the bandwagons. They have all of these people watching you. If you make a call against them, they're going to complain. And there's it's blown way out of the water with these teams.
I'm going to throw that right back at you, because if you're going to make that claim, then if they're going to call that call, then that's obviously, if they are subjected to the fear that they're going to be blown up by the popular fan bases and like that, regardless, you should still make the right damn call. It shouldn't be the narrative that, oh, I'm scared to be blasted on the internet, I got to make the call that appeases the most people. You still got to make the damn call.
No, I'm not saying that they're sitting there and going, "Oh, this is the Chiefs. I'm not gonna call it, even though it's blatantly obvious." It's, "Oh, I'm not certain if that was." It's sitting there and it's going, "I'm not certain if that was a call, but if I get this wrong if I do it wrong against the wrong team." It's like those 50-50 ones. Like, if they're not exactly sure, maybe there's like a 1% bump.
Yes. But my point is that there are definitely some calls this particular season that have been painfully obvious that it should have been called or it should not have been called. But I regress. The playoffs have been better ref-wise, so I'm not going to complain about the refs in the postseason particularly. During the regular season, there were some damn bad calls. There were awful calls all year.
But again, other people have talked about it, and I've talked about it, is if you look at the worst calls, the majority of them came from one officiating crew, and they didn't get in the playoffs because of it. And look at the officiating.
Yeah.
Those, there were 3 or 4 games with horrible game-ending calls, and it was the same crew.
Yep.
So
That's fine.
And I think that crew, and the NFL took action, kicked them out of the playoffs. They're not officiating any playoff games, and I really hope that the NFL looks at either dispersing that group or kicking them out of refereeing any games going forward.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. It's just,
And I'm not.
we can't just base everything on the perception of the refs. Like you gotta, there are some things that I feel like you can just go back and look at the call and then make sure you're confirming that it's the right call. But obviously, if you're gonna do that, it's gonna be very, very, very long, like time wise to do. Because if you're gonna go back and review every single controversial or just up in the air call, then the game's gonna be a lot longer.
Which the NFL would love anyways. It's more ad time.
I was about to point that out, but
It's
I don't know.
like-
It's a back and forth because it's like you got to have human judgment, but you also can't just rely on seeing it because what you see may not actually happen, like that kind of thing.
and we've mentioned this before. They have the technology to enhance penalty calls,
Yeah.
like other leagues have. They just
Should.
need to implement the rules. And I think there's a slight discouragement because they tried it with the pass interference challenges, which was just set up poorly, and the NFL didn't really, and there was no consensus on how that should go, and they just implemented it poorly. It flopped, and I'm assuming there's just a fear to do that. But there should be, but they have it with targeting.
Yeah,
They should just have penalty review,
yeah,
but they don't. And it's a thing the NFL should get put in.
dumb thing.
But I digress. Should go on to the Lions.
Yep.
The repeated third quarter collapse of the Lions after a 24-7 halftime lead. 49ers are starting to at least prove that they can win from behind. So maybe they're not actually bad.
The Lions made too many mistakes, and I will say that something happened between halves. I don't know what it was.
A halftime adjustment, probably.
It wasn't just halftime adjustment. I don't know what the Lions were doing. They abandoned the run game, just like the Ravens did.
Ravens didn't abandon it. It never showed up.
That's my point.
They never introduced it.
They never went with the run game, even though during the first half they had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, because their run game is good. They did have a fumble, but that was Jahmyr Gibbs had a fumble.
That was an unfortunate fumble.
Was it right after the 49ers took the lead, or
Yeah, no, it was still behind. They were still behind. I think
was it
scored.
24-21?
I think it was something like that, and then he fumbled. But I guess my point is that I don't know what the Lions are doing.
It was a collapse. There was
sad.
a lot of criticism of the going for it twice. People have pointed out that Badgley, their kicker, is
It's
not a consistent kicker,
No, he's not that good.
which is like, and people have pointed. There's been some talks on the internet is like, you're in the NFC Championship game. Why do you not have a better kicker? Why do you not have a kicker you can rely on to kick a 30, 40-yard field goal? Which is a fair point. But as far as the play call goes, I sat there and went, it's Dan Campbell. This is how he plays.
This is something he's ran with the entire season, so he
he's
might as well just continue it.
always done it. He's the guy with balls of steel, and he's not going to abandon that because of a higher caliber game. Like, it's what got him there. It's a large part of the reason why they got there. Now, do you look at this season and go, he made that decision several times, and how many times did it cost him a game?
Maybe like a couple games. I think.
One for sure.
One for sure.
This game, I don't think so, because those two, you work out the points. Yes, I get how momentum works, and it's not like an exact thing, but if you look at it just straight away, that's only 2 field goals. Like,
Yeah.
and yes, they technically only lost by 3, but they got a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah.
So
We're
it's
trying
like-
to come back from that, but my point still stands.
It's
just
the field goals were not the thing. Yes, you should have a better kicker, and going forward and missing twice really hurts morale. Mm-hmm. And there were some drop passes as well.
Jameson Williams.
I was thinking of, was it Khalif Raymond?
Maybe it was
Or-
Raymond as well, but Williams
Who-
for sure dropped 2 passes where I'm like, you gotta catch that.
Who had the drop on fourth down?
I don't remember. That was the game where I saw like the first 5 minutes, drove back into town, and then was able to watch like the second half of the third quarter to the end of the game. Like that was the point of the game where I was like able to watch. But
I was too distraught to actually watch the game.
no, that's fair.
But
I'll try to watch the game.
it was admittedly, like, it was a bad collapse. Offense stopped working in the third quarter. Defense kind of let Brock Purdy do whatever. There was a very, very nice play from Brandon Ayuk on a tip.
Freaking
Okay,
catch that
It's-
should have been an interception.
it should have been an interception, admittedly, and it is not the greatest catch I've ever seen, but it was shocking because it's one of those where it's like, that should not end up a catch. It's kind of one of those just like freak plays, and it's just like, what just happened?
Also, Brock Purdy did not intend for that either.
No,
I don't want to hear Brock Purdy is a really good passer because that shit
that-
was going to be intercepted regardless.
Okay, but people have missed throws. I'm not going to judge his entire accuracy on one play, but it was an overthrow. Should have been picked.
Should have been picked.
Dude, Brock Purdy can't get any praise for that catch. Brandon Ayuk can get praise for the concentration,
Yeah.
but was it C.J. Gardner-Johnson who...
The only person that gets credit on that catch is Ayuk. Nobody
Oh,
else.
was it Vildor?
Maybe it was Vildor. No, it was Vildor.
Again, nice catch, kind of freak play. He ended up scoring a touchdown off of it. Crazy play.
All I can say is, like, Lions, you got back to the championship, though.
Yeah, and they did an amazing job. They did way more. I sat here and was like, Lions, they just need to make a playoff. Maybe get one playoff victory. And you end some
Got to the
droughts.
championship.
You got to the championship, which was more than I expected of that team. I figured they were going to take a step forward, but they took a very big step forward. And they've done a great job over the past 2 years. In 2 years, went from 3-13-1 to 12-5 in an NFC Championship appearance.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
You guys are
They can,
on,
build, they can build off of that.
and yes, they can.
Also, Greg Johnson is still staying at the Lions. The OC.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's still staying.
what was the reason
Eminem
he was asking
posted
too much
like,
money.
"Yeah, I'm not going to drop a diss track on you. Don't worry about that."
Yeah, but maybe here's the thing with it being Chiefs 49ers. I want the 49ers to get it this year because I think they deserve one with the teams they've built. I think they deserve one,
Yeah, they deserve one at least.
and this is the year to get it. Chiefs are gonna continue to be good. They're gonna have a dynasty. It's gonna suck for everyone else. But the 49ers, how much can you keep it up? You know, you got
McCaffrey isn't going to be here for long.
3 years of
Warner's not going to stay forever.
Purdy on
Trent
a
Williams is not going to
cheap
stay
contract.
forever.
Kittle,
Samuel,
Ayuk, maybe.
Ayuk.
It's like you got a super team,
and they gotta get a championship.
and this is a perfect storm too, because you got like probably the week you could have had the Ravens who stomped you on Christmas, but they
still-
flopped, and you have to play the Chiefs who were just not supposed to win.
I don't think the Chiefs should have been in the Super Bowl this year.
No,
They
and
don't
it's-
deserve it. But,
Again,
like they do because of coming back from what they were, but also they don't.
they
deserve it.
won the games, so they get the Super Bowl appearance. But it's like
It's very
you
undeserved
played-
how sloppy.
Ravens did what I said that they were going to do. The only team that can beat the Ravens in the playoffs was ourselves,
Was themselves.
and we beat ourselves 'cause much. But again, it's the same thing the Bills did. The 49ers just need to not do that. I just think the
Yeah.
best case scenario, 49ers get it, and then they kind of have their little recession because you kind of do for one when you build a super team.
It's just I want to cheer for somebody in the Super Bowl that I don't hate, or at least prefer to not get the Super Bowl, if that makes sense. Because it's like this is the worst outcome, in my opinion, that could have happened this year. I hate the bandwagon fans, whether it's media or if it's random people on the street you find, I don't care who it is. Any bandwagon fans of any level in society that root for these teams, I despise because they have showed they are not loyal to anything. It shows their insecurity of being loyal to a certain team when they go through the ups and downs. I don't like those people because you weren't there to not appreciate, but you weren't there to soak in the not just being at the bottom, but the rise to the top. You weren't there for the entire thing. And that's the issue I have with a lot of these fan bases is because, yes, they have a solid fan base. It's the obnoxious bandwagons that make it insufferable for everyone else. Chiefs and Niners have them, for sure. Cowboys fans have them. Eagles fans have them. Pittsburgh fans have them. Even Ravens fans have them, which is unfortunate, but they do.
Every fan base has annoying fans.
Yes.
It's just because they're just annoying people and they root for their
bandwagons. It's just whoever is the team that succeeds the most at that time tends to have the most bandwagons. And unfortunately, it's the goddamn Chiefs and Niners this year. And that's why I can't stand to watch the Super Bowl. But I'm going to because not only am I going to cover it, it's the Super Bowl. I want to hang out with people. I just want to socialize, you know? It's just I can't feel I won't feel good that a team is going to get a Super Bowl and there are going to be people leeching off of that success just because they can do that. Like, that's what I hate about the sport of football or just any sport is that you're going to get those assholes that are not going to be there for every moment of that team, and they're just going to leech off of only the success.
Yeah, I more so just in the regards when I compared it to Patriots Eagles is because I mean obviously I didn't like the Patriots because they were a dynasty, but the Eagles again comes from like that Cowboys family. It's like just a distaste for the Eagles, and I sat there and I was like, I don't want either of these teams to win. I'm rooting for both of their downfalls.
Yeah.
That's going to be me, except I'm going to lean to the 49ers because I'm just like,
I'd rather
just not the Chiefs, please.
the freaking NFL has forced me to root for the Niners in the Super Bowl, and I hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't have that much of a distaste. And the 49ers, I get your point with the fan base, but if you look at the players.
The players are amazing. I love Purdy as a person. Purdy
McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo.
McCaffrey and Purdy, they are some of the most humble people I've seen, not just on the internet, but just on day-to-day occasions. Like, they are really cool people. Chase Young is a very chill dude.
Sam Darnold. He's going to get a Super Bowl.
He's the only quarterback from that class that's going to get a Super Bowl ring, and that's hilarious.
Up to this point, well, was that that was the Lamar one, right?
Yeah, I think
okay.
So. 2019?
I feel confident.
No.
2018.
2018, thank you.
I feel more confident that Lamar will actually earn his, though.
I think Lamar will get a ring.
Although,
it just won't be anytime soon.
I will say that there was something on Twitter, I think, that someone posted that was they placed a $50 bet on their Super Bowl MVP being Sam Darnold, and someone came out and went, that's not that. That's not that unrealistic.
If Purdy gets hurt and Sam Darnold comes in and somehow wins the Super Bowl, that would be hilarious.
That would be. The guy would win like $50,000. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, it would be funny.
But
it's not gonna happen.
I did a little bit of research and I looked up AFC teams to win the Super Bowl, NFC teams to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC is ahead by one game. It is.
Oh, like head to head?
Yeah, who's won the most Super Bowls.
Oh. Yeah.
NFC teams have won one more. I think it's 27-26. So 28-27. I sit there and I'm like, this makes it difficult because I kind of want it to be even because then it roots for the Chiefs.
No, I don't want it even.
I'm so confused.
I don't want it even.
It'll stem from a graphic that I saw about which teams have won a Super Bowl, and the NFC has only 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
AFC has a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know. It's just,
they just got those Patriots and Steelers Super Bowls carrying them.
yep. It's the only reason.
As far as teams who could make it a good game and teams that kind of like, I'm not going to say deserve to be in the Super Bowl, but like could win a Super Bowl. Like you could have had the Buccaneers and the Texans, and
That would have been
it would have been
wild.
interesting. But I'm not going to point to any of those teams and go, you should be in the Super Bowl.
But you get more viewership because it's actually a Super Bowl that most people would watch.
But you also lose viewership because it's not, you don't get your bandwagon fans in there.
Well, the
But-
bandwagon fans will still jump on the. It doesn't matter. They'll jump on the train.
Well, no, so bandwagons root for the easiest team to root for, which is the team that wins the most over a extended period of time. Hence why when the Giants beat the Patriots, everyone didn't become a Giants fan. They were still Patriots fans because the Patriots have the dynasty, easiest team to root for. It's the thing with the Chiefs. Chiefs are going to be the dynasty with the bandwagon fans.
Yep. And I hate it. 'Cause
And
I
I'm
hate
sure
bandwagon
Chiefs fans hate it too because they're going to sit there and go, we have a great fan base. And them.
Yeah, because it's like there are actually a bunch of Chiefs fans who are. I'm like, these are really cool.
Yeah, we're
cool
surrounded by
people.
them.
Cool people.
They're,
And then there's the bandwagon fans who constantly like to point out that they're a Chiefs fan when they're really not. They're just there for the success and everything.
I'm just here for this. Holds up a participation trophy.
Yeah, literally, they're only there for the participation. And it's just like, no, shut up. Every year, I want to be able to cheer for a team to go someplace, and this year particularly, it happened to be the Lions, and I don't like cheering for juggernauts like
No,
teams
it's the
that have
underdogs.
been consistently good because it's like
It's the underdog
like
stories.
I love the underdog stories. I like the teams who haven't won in a long time or have never won or even appeared in the championship. Lions.
Lions.
But the issue became I like seeing the players succeed. I don't like seeing the organizations along with the bandwagon fans bathing in the spotlight. There's certain factors that qualify people as being a fan of a certain team. Like I'm a diehard Husker fan. I've lived my entire life being a Husker fan. I'm not going to go jump to Ohio State because they're such a great team that's easily consistent. I'm going to go there. No. If I did that, I'd hate myself because no, I don't like Ohio State, and as much as I hate suffering as being a Husker fan of just football, basketball, and our shortcomings in volleyball, I will still root for them because that is the team I grew up with, and I will forever stay a part of that fan base. Will I get tired of them? Hell yeah. But I'm not leaving them because they mean too much to me.
Go Big Red.
Go Big
Anyways,
Red.
I'm just talking about the teams that lost in the playoffs. So we'll keep it to the playoffs.
Keep it to the playoffs, yeah.
But let's look at the 6 teams that have lost on each side, and what the loss really means, and where those teams can go going forward. And we could make it easy and start with the Ravens, because I think the Ravens are easy. You have a good team. You've proven your coaches are good. You gotta
Adjust.
you could keep the exact same team, because you're not losing any coordinators as far as I know. You're not losing anybody. Keep the same team.
Yep.
Zay Flowers gets a little better. You're gonna probably lose Odell Beckham.
Just get somebody to replace him.
Rashad Bateman, I don't really know I don't know what his contract looks like, but he's not really performing as great as we expected when we got him, but Zay Flowers is, and he's not going to be a rookie. He's going to get better. He might have a sophomore slump, so maybe next year he might not be as good next year, but going forward,
He will be consistent.
he's proven that he can be a 1 or 2 receiver. Get a receiver. Get like a. You don't even need You don't need an expensive receiver,
No, you just need somebody who can do the job.
and maybe someone who's pretty good at run blocking, because
Kind of need that.
that'd be nice.
Lions. Literally the same thing as the Ravens.
Just
keep everything.
Just keep building.
Build
they've
off of what you have.
built so well through the draft. Yes, they're gonna be a little further down, and I don't think they're getting any more Rams picks. So they're gonna have a low pick, I believe, because I don't think they have anyone else.
No,
But they still have a
sh-
young roster.
I'd say the most they should invest in is definitely the defensive side.
Oh yes, that is absolutely like they're gonna lose some guys because as well as having a young team, they also have some veterans, and that was a point that was made consistently with like this Lions run is that they have guys that have been there since they like through all of the pain,
Yes.
and unfortunately, you're gonna start losing those guys, whether it's to retirement or them leaving to go other places. But as far as it stands, you're keeping your coaching staff,
Yeah.
and
Keep
you
it going.
keep building through the draft and work specifically on that pass defense,
Yes.
like in the backfield.
That's what killed you all year.
But they're also in a good spot, although they're just like they're on an upward slope. Bills are in a little bit of trouble because I mean you got rid of Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, they got a lot of players that are going to be on either the chopping block or they got to find some way to keep them.
They need to kind of build. They kind of need to. I'm not gonna say rebuild, but use the
Refuel.
term. What is it usually that people use? Reload,
Reload.
I guess.
Refuel, reload.
And reload meaning like you can't use the same guys. Stephon probably needs to go.
I
Not
hate saying it, but I do agree that Stephani.
not needs to go, but it's probably the best move for
move
them
on.
to make a Super Bowl. Stephon, maybe you move on from. Von Miller probably should move on from, and kind of continue to build around like Khalil Shakir. Great point
Amazing.
to build around.
Amazing.
James Cook is starting to come into his own.
Kincaid.
Kincaid is and you still have Dawson Knox.
Yep.
Assuming that they
Defense,
keep-
you still have a very injury-prone defense, but if you can get more people,
Get some healthy guys back, and well, is it even injury prone or were they just injured this year?
They've been injury-prone for so many years. White, I swear, has been injured in the last 3 to 4 years. Texans,
Texans are just fine. They're
Texans, you
gonna.
don't just keep building. That's all I'm gonna say.
You just need experience, like, and you have draft picks, right? Well, they have a draft
They
pick.
have
They
a
have
draft.
whose is it? The Browns, because
Maybe
they traded one of their picks to the Cardinals.
Yes.
But they should have either theirs or the Browns for this year. So you still have a first round pick. You're gonna get Tank Dell back. Hopefully he's
Oh yeah.
fine. CJ Stroud has some experience. It's gonna be building up that defense a little bit and probably that O line. Figuring out your run game. Maybe your OC needs to figure something out because he did really well. It's just the run game was messy for a while, but
They're fine in this situation. They just need to build off what they have.
they are going to be re-entering next year a competitive AFC South.
Definitely.
It's going to be an AFC South that is,
Actually fun to watch.
yeah, it might actually be interesting. I just hope the Jaguars don't completely suck, and then there's the Titans, but we can cover those teams later. Browns,
I'd say Browns need to.
honestly, they might be in the worst position possible.
Really, you think that?
Yes, because they have a quarterback who
Oh,
has been injured, hasn't played great, and his contract is hitting. He's going to be worth $70 million a year.
just let him go.
You can't eat that like unless they decide they would like have to cut people to cut him because they would have to pay him out that much.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed so much money that the best option either you play him or you draft a rookie to play over him and you let him sit. either way, no one's trading for that contract. They're in a shitty spot, and they're gonna start having to either let people go, like either people are going to leave, or you're gonna have to get rid of people because you don't have the space.
No.
And they screwed themselves because if it wasn't for that, you're getting Nick Chubb back, and maybe your team is good enough.
I would say they won't make the playoffs next year, but they'll at least be average. That's what I'm gonna say.
It's just they're gonna, unless Deshaun Watson starts actually playing well, because
Which I don't.
this was this was their super team year, and you lost Nick Chubb, Deshaun Watson, you lose your guys, and it's like
there goes your team. Pittsburgh. You guys are fucked.
Yeah,
you hired Arthur Smith as your OC. That's all I'm gonna say.
Did they?
Yes, they hired him today. Pittsburgh, you're just fucked. I'm sorry.
So
your management is not going to change anything anytime soon.
That makes me so happy because I don't know why I was joking. I think I saw that he interviewed with them. I mean, the good news is that I don't know who Deontay Johnson might get some yards because Smith isn't going to throw it to George Pickens or give it to Jalen Warren.
The running game is going to improve. That's about it.
He's not going to use him right, though.
I'm saying they'll pass to the running backs. I'm just saying that they won't run it a whole lot.
The thing is, I give hate to Arthur Smith and his lack of using players. But then again, he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, I think. Wasn't it? Wasn't he? Wasn't that where? I believe that's where he was before Atlanta. He was the OC with Derrick Henry when he was doing really good. And
we'll see.
So you might actually be able to develop a good run game, which is kind of scary because that's what Pittsburgh usually does really well. And with George Pickens, it's kind of like...
Pickens is going to be the next Antonio Brown.
Yeah, you say that, but, depending... That might be true, but it depends on which facet it's true because he was also just one of the best wide receivers in the league, which is just... Antonio Brown?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Pickens. I was like, what?
Antonio Brown was one of the best receivers in the league, and if that's he could turn into Antonio Brown, but if it's in that way, he absolutely has the skill level to do it. He just
also
needs
has the mentality to turn into Antonio Brown.
Yeah, he could literally just be Antonio Brown. But even still, Antonio Brown wreaked havoc. They got quarterback controversy.
Yeah.
Trubisky
and Pickett. And Rudolph.
O-line kind of still sucks. Your number 2 is freaking Deontay Johnson, who really shouldn't. His receiving core is weak. You got a good tight end. Running backs are good. Defense is injury prone. Yeah, you kind of just need to get healthier on defense, and then they might lose Cameron Hayward. He's older, but they've built like young linebackers. You got Minka, you got Joey Porter Jr., who looks to be really good. Yeah, so their defense will probably be really good.
Their offense is always going to be the struggle.
It's going to be, can they figure out a quarterback? And I think there's a quarterback that makes sense in my mind.
But are they going to actually go for them?
I just don't see them actually... No, especially because...
We're going to stick with Pickett. We're going to stick with Rudolph because tradition...
Well, they won't stick with if it's down to Rudolph, they'll get someone else. They might stick with Pickett because they put the capital into him. And then there's the Dolphins who need
move on from Tua.
No.
Yes.
No. They need to learn to win in the playoffs, not be injury prone. Not even learn to win in the playoffs. Learn to win in the cold and the later months because yes, they thrive when it's hot out. But unless you're going to be getting a 1 seed, you need to learn how to win in colder weather because you're probably not going to be and you have to get a 1 seed in order. Well, you don't have to get a 1 seed, but you need a lot to go your way if you're not going to be playing in cold weather games. So they need to figure that out. They need to figure out how to win in the playoffs, which as much as I love Mike McDaniels, he's kind of struggled there.
Yes.
And just going into the playoffs healthy because this is the second year in a row where they went in as a lower seed kind of had to collapse because of injuries, and they lost so many players to injury.
Yep. Moving on to the NFC side. Let's go. Packers are in a good state.
Packers are doing great. They're the
they
youngest roster.
Yeah, they gotta continue to, basically feed the young roster, give them more encouragement.
Just develop Jordan
going.
Love and just get
They'll be
some
fine.
more pieces. They're probably not gonna lose that many guys.
No.
They might lose. Did Bakhtiari even play this year?
I don't know.
I don't recall him
I don't
playing,
recall.
but
Maybe he did.
replacement for David Bakhtiari, because he's a fantastic tackle, but he's
Yes.
probably gonna leave.
Yeah.
Running back, but otherwise they're fine. Figure out how to beat the 49ers in the playoffs, and you're fine.
Yeah.
Just give Jordan Love more time to develop, because he has the talent
Yep.
to be the next great quarterback. You just gotta let him work. Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy.
But they're not going to.
Not this year. So this year, I'm going to bet somewhere between 11-6 and 14-3 again. Maybe either win the division or a 5 seed, and lose to the likes of probably the Packers or the 49ers again. Maybe
gonna happen.
they're going to lose for either wild card or divisional round, because, maybe things work out and they get an easy opponent, but
They
they're
keep
just...
blowing their opportunities.
And I give a lot of hate to Dak Prescott, but I'm going to be honest, I think their choke job is purely Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
So
Prescott is not amazing, but he's good.
he's good enough.
He's good enough. I'll give him his props, but he's not like MVP stuff.
He's good enough to where you should have been to an NFC Championship by now with him.
At least once.
At least once. But now they have the issue of Tony Pollard doesn't look like your number one guy. Got to fix that. Probably stick with Dak, but you got to get more receivers. CD can't do it by himself. O-line looks
He's got
good.
plenty of receivers to throw to.
They make good 4th and 5th receivers, but who you need to pair someone with CD Lamb, and Cooks is not that guy anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Stephon Diggs,
No, shut up. Anyways,
T Higgins, Rams.
Rams. For what was supposed to be a down year, surprised that they got as far as they did. I'd say either have Stafford for at least another year.
Oh, they'll keep him around another year. I would say they need to keep building their roster young.
Yeah.
They have their quote unquote they believe they have their quote unquote Aaron Donald replacement. And is it Kobe Turner,
Yeah.
the conductor, which I love that. But keep building up I think the defense.
Defense
as
definitely
far
needs
as
some help.
Rams go, just consistency there. If you can keep Cooper Kupp, you have Puka. If you can keep Cooper and have Puka, you'll be fine. Kyron Williams will be around a couple years because he's still young.
Atwell will still be there.
Atwell's okay. I wouldn't be upset if they moved on from him. Who's the Robinson?
Oh yeah,
Robinson's
Robinson's
not
kind of an
fantastic, but they've
He's definitely
been, compared to what he's done in his career, he has been taking major steps forward at the Rams, and if they can continue that, he would make. He's a number 3-4 receiver, which is all you really need from him.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a tight end, but yes, I agree. If you want to, because again, you went all in, got your Super Bowl. You're trying to rebuild a team back up. Matthew Stafford is great, but I don't think he will be around long enough for him to be the solution for a possible run in the next couple of years. I say get a guy, could be a later pick. Just get a guy that you can have him sit under. Stetson Bennett's not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett is only he's only a couple years younger than him anyways. Buccaneers.
Buccaneers. I'm surprised by their results from this year. I would say either build around Baker in the offense they currently have or go somewhere else. But
I would say go with Baker. Baker is not going. He's not going to be the guy that wins you a Super Bowl, but he could have the. He
might be
could
a
be an
stepping
Eli Manning. Like he's not necessarily going to win you a bunch of games, but if you can pay Mike Evans, keep Chris Godwin, I think
the offense definitely needs to have some look at.
they need to keep some pieces because they're in danger of losing some people. Build up a little bit better of a running game, run a more
Yes.
balanced offense, and they're losing people on defense. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and
eventually it will happen.
they need to find their replacements.
Yeah.
So find the replacements on defense. Build up a little bit more of those weapons. They have a pretty solid O-line if they're healthy. And I want them to stick with Baker because could you have someone better?
Yeah.
Sure. But
But who's
I think
who's
Baker's
going to be on the market that's going to be better than Baker?
Russell Wilson.
No. Let's see here. Yeah, I'd say keep rebuilding.
I mean, and again, this is another case where I think you could pick someone up later in the draft and let them sit for a couple of years.
Kind of learn.
Yeah, just like let them learn. They're not in desperate need for a starter right now. You can stick with Baker for the couple of years, build up the roster. Maybe you get somewhere. Maybe you get on a magical run with Baker, but you're not after losing Tom. I don't think rushing back to the playoffs or rushing back to a Super Bowl is your biggest worry. You should take your time building. Obviously, you still want to win, but you need to take your time and don't rush it. Otherwise, you'll end up like the Browns.
Oops.
And then last but not least,
Well, who are you
Eagles.
talking? Oh yeah, Eagles.
I think that was the last team. They
I
have
think it's hilarious how they lost.
they have a top, like, at least, the very least, top 5 most talented roster.
Yes, they just don't have the coaching to execute very well.
You just got to figure out what happened and address that. Because there's your defense. I think your coordinators need to be gone. And I think Patricia they got rid
Yes.
of. But
Good, because they don't deserve to be there. Or at least Patricia doesn't deserve to be there because it's like.
well, they fired Desai. I've not heard anything
Yeah.
about Johnson yet, which
Not yet, but
they can't stick with him. You can't do it because he's. You should not have that much struggles. I mean, again, your defense was horrible. They were struggling to tackle, and with the guys you have out there, that should not be the case. On offense, though, again, stacked on offense, but your play calling was just running screens. They had some weeks where they did okay, but
yeah.
they were a team that played down to their competition most of the season,
Yes.
and that doesn't work in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so they got
They were the
stomped.
They were the 2020 Steelers.
It's going to be figuring out coaches. Other than that, like, keep as many guys as you can. There's the rumors of Jason Kelsey retiring.
Yeah.
Obviously,
You gotta get somebody to replace him.
don't know, but like, you have a good O-line. Even if you just need someone mediocre. Now I do wonder if the loss of Jason Kelsey will result if Jason Kelsey retires. Does the tush push not work anymore then?
Probably not.
Because
Jason Kelsey was literally the reason why that thing was going as fast as it was.
well, it's hard to tell what was really going on. But one of the things Jason Kelsey was like praised for. Well, I don't know if I would say praised. I would say praised because I think it is a good feat to have. But a lot of people complained about it. Is he snaps the ball really fast, which is in terms of like an advantage for the offense. Like it's a good advantage. Quarterback's getting the ball faster. He can get it out faster. Your center can block faster. all right, good. So you're losing something there. But you have a good O-line. Just don't have a center that sucks. If they figure out their coaching, I don't see why they could not, make it back to at least the NFC Championship next year. So it'll be, it's up to them. But those are some of the things that these teams can look forward to, and like where their concern is. I would say overall for this next season, and just like and going forward, Bills and Browns are probably in the biggest panic. Although it definitely Browns at the
Definitely
top.
the Browns,
But
Bills
most
are
of
definitely second.
Most of these teams are in rebuilds. Most of these teams are teams that overperformed from where their expectations were. So
Yes, they definitely did. So,
this was our recap of the conference championship and just the playoffs in general.
kind of recapping it a little bit, but thank you all for joining us. I have no idea what we're going to be going to do going forward after the Super Bowl, but we'll figure
It'll be
something
off-season content, my guy.
Off-season content for sure. But,
Right, actually-
we've got some ideas, but
Off-season content will be honestly more exciting for me because
something different.
we
I
get
like
to be a little more creative and we get to control our stuff more rather than
Yay.
just reporting on what happened. So
Yay!
it'll be good. We'll get to have more free discussion. Obviously, format will change a little bit.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So,
And maybe some more creative content also. We shall see.
maybe we cover the UFL. We don't know. But we'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Well,
We'll see. It's a joke.
That's it.
It's a joke. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week. See ya.
Bye-bye.